Yes, here we are in Pismo Beach with my Rivian R1T truck. Hello electric vehicle fans, Mark here with another installment of my EV life. Now I brought the truck down here specifically to check out its ability to drive in the soft sand. This is something I've been waiting a long time to do. I'm super excited to try it, and Pismo is one of my favorite places to be. So here are the 9 things I want to cover with you here today. 1, where is Pismo and why does everybody want to come here and drive in the sand? 2, what gear should you bring with you? 3, what settings on the truck are we going to use? There's the ability to adjust the ride height using the air suspension, and we're also going to use Rivian's dedicated soft sand off-road driving mode, which is very cool. 4, we're actually going to air down the tires. We're going to take air out of our tires, and I'll talk about that. 5, I'll give you some tips for driving in the sand. 6, we'll see how the Rivian does in the soft sand. 7, I'll fake getting stuck. I'll sort of get stuck, and we're going to use our recovery boards to get ourselves out. 8, at the end of the day, we're going to air our tires back up. We're going to use the onboard air compressor that comes with the truck, and we're going to fill our tires back up. And then 9, I'll share a conclusion, like how did the truck do, my general insights on how I think it handles these conditions. So that's it for today. That's what we're going to do. Now, real quickly before we get started, if you could just take 5 seconds, hit that subscribe button down below. You'll see it there in the corner. What that allows us to do is more people can see this video, because the more you subscribe, the more often YouTube offers it up to people around the world to watch. Sound good? All right, let's get into it. Thanks for your time today.
Let's start with a brief overview of Pismo Beach. We'll go through the region, the town, and then the beach. Pismo is in the central coast of California, which has the best of both northern and southern California. Great beaches, mountains and trails, wine country, moderate weather, and open spaces. The town of Pismo is a classic, old-school California destination beach town. It has a pier, shops, and plenty of great restaurants. There are great hotels located along the cliffs overlooking the beaches, and the town is not too big, so it's easy to get around. Now for the beach. Pismo State Beach is 17 miles long. It's capped by the town of Pismo on the north end, and then Oceano Dunes State Recreation Area to the south end, where you'll find ATVs and buggies to rent. You can camp on the beach or next to it in campgrounds and RV parks. You can surf the glassy morning waters and encounter dolphins and whales almost daily. Or in the afternoon, when the winds kick up, you can do some excellent kite surfing. But the main attraction is simply the beach and its endless amount of beautiful, soft, white sand. Which leads me to the most important thing to know about Pismo Beach. You can drive on it, which allows you to drive until you find the spot you like, away from others, and you unload the car and hang out for the day, and everyone gets their space. And that's it for the Pismo overview, but one more thing about the beach. You'll see a fair amount of vehicles driving by in the background of my shots today, and you might get the impression that it's not really off-roading, that any car can drive here. And on some days that is true. Most cars can make it down here without problem, as long as they stay on the firm, safe sand near the water. That's the beaten path. But the further you get away from the water, like where you see me hanging out today, that's where you get the softer, deeper sand. And that's where, almost on a daily basis, you'll see cars and even trucks getting stuck. So how deep was the sand? I'd say it was fairly soft and deep, as you can see by my tracks here. It was probably about a foot deep.
All right, let's talk about the gear you want to take with you when you're driving in the soft sand. We'll call this your recovery kit. First thing you want to bring with you is your deflator and your tire pressure gauge. Got 2-in-1 here. Then we've got our recovery boards. You've probably seen these before. I got these as a rather cheap set on Amazon because I needed overnight shipping, but the good ones are going to cost you around $300. I'm going to demo these today. This will get you out of a bind. Got a shovel. This is a collapsible, actually this is a snowboarding backcountry shovel, but any little shovel you can get that stores easy. Get one of those. I don't know if this will ever really do much, but you can get the inflator sealer can in case you get a little flat and you need to get back. And then you're going to need to inflate your tires back up again after you deflate, and we'll cover that today as well. And to do that, we've actually got it already built into the truck here. I'm going to show you how this works. This is our onboard inflator air compressor that comes with the truck. Very cool, very helpful. And with it, of course, is a hose, the inflator hose, which comes with the truck. And actually that gets stored in the side door, which is very cool. All right, so that's it for the gear you want to bring with you. This is good recovery kit gear for going off into the soft sand.
As we head in to adjust some settings, notice it's that time of the day where the winds are really kicking up. Now I'll demonstrate for you how you can adjust the ride height. First, I'll go to this mode here. You'll see that we're in all-purpose and we're in low ride height. I'm going to go ahead and just say right here I want to go up to high. And the flashing is telling me that it's currently adjusting the height. The air suspension is actually lifting the vehicle right now. And that'll take a few seconds to a minute depending on how high you're trying to go. But the truck is lifting and I can feel it right now. And there it is. It's done. We're in the high riding height now. And if you'd like to learn more about this air suspension and the ride height feature, head over to my EV Life channel. I have a video over there dedicated to this. It's called Camp Mode with Auto Leveling. Now we're going to adjust the driving mode from all-purpose to off-road, go off-road to specifically soft sand, which is right here. When you're off-road, you have all-terrain, soft sand, rock crawl, rally, or drift. Man, those are all things I want to try. But today we're going to do soft sand. Now what this is going to do, it says here, optimize traction and a ton of torque to rip through the sand, air down tire pressure for best performance. So essentially, when you're driving in the sand, you want to keep a lot of your movements a little bit more mellowed out. You want to keep momentum going. So it's going to lower the regen on the brakes. You don't do any sudden stops. It's going to make the throttle probably a little less punchy. It's going to adjust the traction control. All the things that the driving needs to do when you're in soft sand. All right, so we're doing that right now.
Okay, now we're going to air down the tires. And the reason you do that is to increase the surface area contact between the truck and the sand. You want to expand that footprint, create more float. All right. Now, experts will tell you that this is very important. To the novice, it may sound like a small thing, but it's really important. Now, how much do you air down? Well, the PSI for this tire is 48. It's standard driving. And Rivian, in their owner's manual, when driving off-road, they tell you, and you can read this in the control panel inside, they'll tell you to go down to 31, from 48 to 31. Now, a lot of off-roading sites say that you should start at a lot lower than that. You should go down to 15 when you hit the beach. And if you get in trouble, bring it down to 10, 9, or 8. Now, we'll leave that low number for if we get in trouble. So we'll just bring it down to about 30 today. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so let's air down these tires. I'll start with this one. I'll do all 4. We'll bring them down to 30. And since I got my tire gauge here with the release valve, this should go pretty quick.
Okay, so there was a lesson learned here. It did not go pretty quick. This is a dual gauge plus deflator, and it's really more a tire gauge with a small deflate button, so it was really slow and a bit annoying to have to hold the button down one tire at a time. So the next time I do this, I'm going to try something like you see here. A set of screw-on auto deflators that bring your tire down to a set PSI. And these right here ship already set to 30 PSI, which is exactly what I want. So you just attach them to each tire, you walk around, you come back when each is done and take it off. I've heard they work really well. But anyway, on this day, I used what you see here. I did all 4 tires, one at a time, and total it took about, 12, 14, maybe 15 minutes. And then I was on my way.
All right, so we're going to drive around a little bit here, see how things go. Problem is, it's a very busy day now, and a lot of people seem to be coming over to check out the truck. But we'll see what we can do. See if I can get you a little footage of how this truck's handling.
And it's not just a busy weekend with a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit. I'm a one-man camera, audio, and driver crew. It's just me, so I'm limited in what I can shoot. It's just not a good idea to leave cameras sitting in the sand for others to drive over. So the hog wild, bitchin', off-road, and action video will have to come on the next trip when I have someone with me to help film. But the goal here today is to give you a little bit of footage of the truck handling these conditions. We'll do some drive-bys, some drive-overs, and some in-cab commentary. I'll share my first impression here. and it's that this truck has no trouble handling these conditions. This is a lot easier than I thought it would be. It's doing its thing for me in soft sand driving mode. I can tell it has tweaked the responsiveness of the accelerator pedal a bit, and it's kind of taken over so that I don't spin my tires at times, but still has plenty of pick-me-up when I ask it to. And the suspension feels great. It's handling the holes and the bumps, as you can see here.
It's driving very smooth. I've been trying some turns, been going over some bumps and some lumps, trying to stay under the 15-mile-an-hour speed limit. May have gone a notch over at times. Make a quick turn. Yeah, this is pretty smooth. It's like riding a boat, floating across the sand. Yee!
And that would be my second impression, is that this smooth riding truck in the sand gets even smoother. It reminds me a lot of the feeling I get when I'm cutting fresh tracks through powder on skis or a snowboard. But it's not doing what some trucks do with really soft suspension, where you start getting that bounce up and down when you're going over undulating hills. So this has the right amount of tightening that's going on to keep that from happening. All in all, you're just going to have to experience it. It's quite a feeling.
You know, I'm hitting all sorts of terrain. You can see here I'm not following anybody else's path. I'm making my own trail. I can get up here in the soft stuff, no problem. I'll make a turn here. We'll go around a circle. So we'll make a turn going uphill in the soft sand. Not advisable, but I did it.
And that gets me to my third and final impression about the drive. It's this: the 4 independent motors really help power you through the turns. I don't know how to describe it, but in tight turns through the boggy spots, you can feel this beast clawing and pulling you forward on all 4 tires, with each of the 4 motors doing its thing. And if you want to go a little bit faster at any moment, just put the pedal down and it'll suddenly just take off on that turn. In fact, I did try the drift mode a little bit. I don't have any footage of it, but I did put the pedal down on a few turns, and I got the back end to drift out, which was pretty cool. That was everything I'd hoped for. I think I'd call that test drive a success. Now, to get you excited, you should know that there's a whole other back area in the Oceano SVRA, which stands for State Vehicular Recreation Area. And it's back there where you get into some serious sand dunes and rolling hills. But I could not film in there this weekend. For one, I didn't have the mandatory flag on my vehicle. And even if I did, this is definitely an area where you don't want to leave cameras on tripods unattended, given the hills and the drop-offs. But on my next trip, and I'm already planning it, I'm going to bring a buddy with me, head back there, and I'll film part 2 of this video.
All right, I've got to get down here and do some more stuff, but whoa, there's your ride with me. Now I'm cutting across everyone's tracks. Yee! Love this truck. Vivian! And there's our surfers. Let's get you a shot of the surfers there as I drive away. Now, a couple tips I'll give you. First of all, everything I've already talked about. So bring the right gear, air down your tires, be in the right drive mode and all of that. Another thing I want to share with you is make sure you keep your momentum, especially as you're heading into the real soft stuff. Momentum is the #1 tip for driving in this stuff. And then no sudden stops. When you make a sudden stop, the sand piles up, and then you've got yourself a little bit of a hill to get out of when you start again, and many times your tires will start to spin. When that happens, all you have to do is just back up a little bit and then go forward, and you'll get over that hill. In fact, that's a best practice every time you're restarting your vehicle. Just back up a little bit and then go forward. Another tip I'll give you is when you get to the real crowded areas, you see a lot of things around, people and vehicles, really plan ahead. You don't want to have to come to a sudden stop because of somebody else in a bad spot that's really soft or while you're making a turn. So in crowded areas, just think ahead. Another tip I'll share with you is don't park too close to the water. Which also, another thing to think about is if you're coming to the water, check the tides, because the tide can come up. In fact, take a screenshot of the tides before you get to the beach, because you may not have reception when you get here, but be mindful that the water can cut up quite a bit. It can creep up on you, especially here at Pismo. Also, there's some etiquette to consider. Don't park your vehicle across a common path where a lot of people are driving. That's just kind of a faux pas. Another tip I'll share with you is on a busy day, the exit can get a little bit crowded. On almost any beach you're leaving, the exit is usually a hill up, right? So when you exit your beach, you're going to be going up. You want to get a lot of speed, not a lot of speed, but some speed and momentum. And like I said earlier, think ahead, plan ahead in case there's a backup, a bunch of vehicles maybe all trying to leave at the same time. I guess there's one more thing I should share. Here at Pismo, if it's been a really windy couple of days, they may actually close off the beach to any non-four-wheel drive vehicles. That's just a sign for you. I mean, you're in this Rivian R1T truck, you're going to be fine. But that's just a sign to you to listen to all the tips that I said with a little extra caution, because that sand is going to be super soft and buttery on days like that.
Now, I'm going to break the fourth wall, as they say in filmmaking. When you break scene, leave the story, acknowledge the audience, or speak to your movie. Think of movies like Deadpool or Ferris Bueller. They do it really well. Here's why. I have two scenes on two separate days that speak to using the recovery boards. One, on this day, day one, it's in howling winds. It was planned, it was a simulation, it went well, but when I watched the footage that night in the hotel, I was bummed to see that it was very out of focus, due to the camera unable to cope with these conditions. But I'm not tossing this because I like the swirling sand, and in this version I share a good deal of tips. Let's listen in.
So let me go ahead and demonstrate how you want to dig out a spot for these recovery boards. You want to get them as much underneath the tire as possible. You want them at a little bit of an angle, and you want to keep in mind that they can shoot out behind you when you get going. Now, they probably won't. More often than not, they actually get buried underneath the sand as you start to grind on them and pull them down. And in fact, they may get so buried you might have trouble finding them, but that's not going to happen with us today. So when I get going, I'll make sure there's no one behind us, but there it is. Get them underneath the tire at an angle, and then I'll talk a little bit later about how we get going.
All right, good stuff. Now dig the hole and tell me some more.
I'm just going to do one, but obviously you would do two. Some people use four, but even in the worst conditions, usually two are enough. So I'll go ahead and now jump in. Now when you get started, you're going to want to go slow. All right, you want to get that thing to start to grab, to get that thing sucked in under the tire. And so we'll start a little bit slow, we'll get some grab, and then we'll get going.
Okay, good stuff. Now here's day two. I was not planning on reshooting the recovery board scene. I was late to pick up my family at the hotel. I was in a hurry to set up one final drive-by piece of footage on a big pile of sand, and I got careless. I got a little stuck. Now I had stopped in a pretty soft sand spot, and when I started driving again, I turned my tire a little bit before I had momentum going, and it was just enough to dig me in. And here's another view of it from the GoPro. I possibly could have just floored it and powered out, but a good tip here is that when you feel the tires spinning, you're best off just stopping. Don't dig yourself into a hole. So go grab your shovel and or your recovery boards and just deal with it. So unexpectedly here, I'm reshooting the recovery board scene, but because I'm late to be somewhere, I don't do a great job of talking you through it. But here it is. And so, you know, there's a guy behind me watching my every move right now.
I did manage to get myself a little bit stuck just so I can demonstrate for you the recovery board. So if you look at my tires here, they were spinning. Got them a little bit buried. Got some sand piled up in front of them. I went back and forward once and it was spinning. I could probably power through it, but I'm not going to take the chance. So I'll get out those recovery boards and we'll dig a little bit and we'll see how they work. All right, so here I'm going to go ahead and shovel underneath the front tire, get a little bit of a space here, and then we'll put the board in at a little bit of an angle so I can use this board as a shovel. See that right there? Nice little shovel, huh? So you shovel out like this, get it down as far as you can. Get underneath the tire. Now I'm going to shove it underneath here. Get it right there. Alright, now when we get going, the truck will pull that recovery board underneath it a bit and we'll get up above the sand.
Notice the back tires catching a boost too? Now that is a good shot of how recovery boards work. I'm glad I did that. But did you notice how buried they got? If not for my camera pointing at the spot, I would have struggled to find them. Now I know why they sell these brightly colored stringers to attach to your boards. They stick out of the sand and help you find them.
Alright, let me see if I can find my boards here. They must be under here somewhere. Wow, they really got buried. Can't even see them. Let's see. Oh man, let's go down here. There we go. See if we can pull those up. There we go. Yeah, they did their job.
And let me share this outtake with you. This is the conversation I had with the guy that was watching me.
What is that? A Rivian.
Rivian.
Rivian?
Yeah,
What is it?
it's an electric truck.
By who?
Rivian's the name of the company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's nice looking.
thank you.
Looking all right.
I just wanted to test using these recovery boards and get a video of it, so
Yeah.
it's the first time I've done that.
Four-wheel drive?
Oh yeah, it's got 4 motors.
4 motors. What?
Yep.
One for each wheel?
One for each wheel, yeah.
Yes.
It's really fast too.
And while we're at it, here's an outtake from the previous day when I did the other recovery board scene. This guy came up asking me if I needed some help. I gave him the thumbs up, probably gave him a little bit of look on my face like, go away dude, and he went away. And I'll let this roll a little bit for you because I love the look of the sand blowing into the camera here.
Alright, now that we're about to head home, it's time to fill those tires back up. And we're going to use the handy dandy air compressor inflator here that's built right into the truck bed. Let's see if we can go ahead and dial this in here. I think we're going to go to 48. Let's go ahead and set that. Boom, boom, boom. Alright, let me get the hose out and we'll fill her up. Go ahead in the gear tunnel here. Got it right in here. Pull that out. Back. Go ahead and get this out. I'll probably have to drop the camera here and do this with 2 hands. Just want to show it to you real quick. Alright, we're going to set up that hose. Got an inflator there. We're going to fill up the tires. Alright, I got the hose connected. Let's go ahead here and press this button here. Over here. Make sure that's pushed in, which it is. Let's come back over here and check on it. What's it saying here? Oh, wobbly, wobbly. Alright, we're at 44, 45, 44, 45, 47. It's kind of jumping around, but it's getting there. This looks like it's inflating and testing and inflating and testing. Alright, so it's interesting. It takes little breaks here and there, tests to see where it's at. It's at 47, gives a little bit more, 47. See if it goes any further. It's going to stop there at 47. That was pretty cool. What's nice about it, honestly, is I didn't have to hold it. I just attached it, stuck it on, and it did its thing. All right, we'll do 3 more. Now I'm just going to check to see how accurate it was here. Yeah, that's at 47.5, 48. Pretty good. All right, the inflator is doing the last tire here. I just want to show you how it can reach all the way around. is. Four tires, no problem. What a day, what a day. Man. Now before I head home, I want to share a couple conclusions and insights. First one I'll talk about is airing down the tires. It actually makes a big difference. I just put the air back in the tires to go home. I drove around a little bit in the soft sand and I noticed the difference. Now if you came down here for the day and you just did some general driving around, you don't really need to air down. But if you want to get way off the beaten path, get into the real soft stuff and not have to worry about it, I highly recommend doing the air down technique. Second is that the soft sand driving mode, loved it. It actually made a difference. I could tell. I tried the regular off-road, I tried the drift mode, and the soft sand mode did a really good job of handling the starts and the stops, maintaining my power through the really boggy moments, the really soft stuff. It gave me more power, and I really just didn't have to think too much about it. I didn't have to do a lot of the special techniques of starting and stopping. I just did whatever I wanted to do, and it really handled it. You know, speaking of modes, you might want to try that drift mode. That'd be my third tip for you. I don't have any video of it. I had to be careful about where I did it, but I did accelerate through a turn and got the tail end to slide out a little bit. That was very cool, so I recommend the the drift mode. Got a guy coming by me right now. The fourth tip I would share with you, or maybe just my fourth observation, is that this is one badass off-road vehicle. I mean, I was really impressed with the way this truck handled. You know, after a few hours of driving in the sand, all my worries went away. I really just stopped thinking and worrying about it and just went wherever I wanted to go, and the truck handled. I mean, I think you all know that this is the fastest truck in production in the world right now. This thing is insane on the road. It blows away 99% of the cars on the road as well. Super fast truck, but the 830 horsepower, the 4 motors, 1 for each wheel, the air suspension, the intelligent traction control, all the features that this truck offers, the different ride heights, the air compressor on board. It's made for going off-road, so it is fantastic in that category. Super impressed with everything Rivian put into it. The next observation I'll share is that this truck is really made for recreation. So first of all, it gets you anywhere you need to go. Second, it has tons of storage, and you've seen my frunk video, you've seen my gear tunnel video. There's under storage here in the truck bed. But last is that it has a lot of amenities when you get to that spot and you got all your gear. It's also pretty comfortable to hang out in for the day when you're off the beaten path. So you've got power outlets everywhere. Right now I'm charging some of my equipment underneath. You've got the air compressor, you've got the camp speaker that you can pull out and play tunes around the site. You've got Wi-Fi. Did you know this truck has a Wi-Fi hotspot so I can connect my work computer if I need to? Got the ability to use the storage areas as coolers, the frunk and the under storage in the truck bed. You can fill it with ice and hose it off when you're done. Just tons of features like that. I mean, this truck was really made to get you to your spots where you do your outdoor activities and then have a great time and live out of this truck while you're there. The next observation or insight or maybe recommendation I'll share, don't take this truck to the beach, to this beach, if it's brand new and you're not ready. You are going to get sand everywhere, and I mean everywhere. I have got loads of sand on the inside of my truck. Every time I open the door, the wind would blow sand in. I've got piles of it. So at first I was a little bit wincy and cringing when it was happening. I just decided to just let it happen. I'm going to do a lot of vacuuming when I get home. But I've had this truck for 6 months. If this is your first week or month owning this truck, you may not be able to enjoy yourself here. It's going to get a lot of sand in it. And my final thought for you here today, all the stuff you see me do, playing in the sand, playing in the water with my family, this is why I bought the truck. This is why I have the Rivian R1T. Now, if you have one of these, I encourage you to get out there and find your perfect weekend too, and get it dirty. All right, if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below so you can follow along with all my EV life stories, and check out the other videos I have out there on my channel right now. I'll see you on the next video, and you have yourself a great EV day.
Now, if you want to stick around for one more minute, I'll show you how to launch a kite surfing kite off the trailer hitch of the R1T truck.